In this video, I want to explain everything you need to know and an ultimate guide to DMZ, a demilitarized zone, the new sandbox escape mode available free to play in Warzone 2. I also want to explain all of the secret must-know details that people missed from the DMZ reveal. By the way, all of the gameplay from this mode is from Modern Warzone. I will leave a link to his Twitter and Twitch in this video's description. So far, the reception from the DMZ reveal has been disappointing for a lot of people, and that's because from the influencers who managed to play it early, they didn't exactly know how the mode functioned, and they jumped into it playing it just like it's a battle royale experience, trying to rush when it's supposed to be a more tactical, slower paced mode. And it wasn't helped that MW2 didn't really explain to them how the mode worked prior to them actually playing, and a lot of them didn't really explain the mode to the viewers who watched. The mode, while similar to Escape from Tarkov, definitely isn't the same. It's a lot more casual experience, but the main issue that people have with DMZ is that it doesn't seem like there is much purpose to grind, and there needs to be more rewards. The exfil also needs to be more intense, and a lot of people don't like that the time to kill is so high. DMZ is played on Al Mazrah, the exact same map from Battle Royale in Warzone 2, and people think that they need to differentiate the mode from Battle Royale and give it a darker, more atmospheric tone. Maybe something like we've seen in Spec Ops for the game. It should probably be set at dusk. For the type of mode it is, it's just way too vibrant. Because everyone's reception from the DMZ reveal has been so poor, I think largely in part due to the way it was revealed, because it wasn't properly explained to the audience, it has left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But MW2 has announced that the mode is launching in beta. This doesn't really mean exactly much because obviously it's still the full release on November 16th, but it means that the mode is probably going to take months to get further updates, and it's going to be a bit unfinished, maybe even glitchy on release. It might be similar to what we saw with Outbreak in Cold War Zombies, where it got better and better through a ton of updates, but it was severely lacking content at launch. And I think DMZ is a mode that has a lot of solid foundations, but does need a lot more work and fixes, and it needs a lot more content and reasons to grind the mode. I saw this really good thread on Twitter explaining a lot of secret details that you need to know surrounding the mode before you jump in game, because right now with the mode not having a clear economy or money system, and all you can really bring into further games is the guns that you collect, and then all of the cash and loot that you collect throughout the game is simply converted into XP at the end of the game, meaning that this mode is going to be a really good mode for XP grinding, but it's not going to be something that's super replayable, because the problem is in DMZ you can collect all of these items, but unfortunately we can't then use all of these items to craft different things and bring them outside of game and have upgrades and stuff like that. It kind of makes them all feel redundant. A lot of people thought that DMZ would play similar to the Alone campaign mission, where we would have different items to craft, but for some weird reason this system hasn't been utilized in game. Maybe it's something we could see in raids when they are coming to Spec Ops, with episode 1 in season 1 reloaded on December 14th. So I want to go through this thread I saw on Twitter because I think it really explains DMZ well for all of those who are confused. But before I get into that, MW2 have provided an official blog post and an ultimate guide to DMZ, so I'm going to go through that first. They say DMZ is a dangerous, diverse and deep open world experience where players can choose their level of intensity. Even in its earliest form, the DMZ experience is built for the most hardcore completionists, with faction missions, contracts, world events such as an armored boat event, stocking up the stash, helping out other squads, or causing chaos, breaking open locked areas and much more. This living world has plenty to conquer on day one. This sandbox mode is where players of all skill levels can choose their own way to play and win. The goal is to loot up and get out alive. It's about exploring an active world of Alcatala forces and enemy operators, completing missions and objectives, and exfiltrating with loot, cash, valuables, and rewards to build out your inventory for the next infiltration. Set your own stakes and ultimately earn some high-tier items for use across the rest of Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. While players can choose how and where they engage, all operators must exfil from the Al Mazrah exclusion zone to reap the rewards. Players will ultimately fight for mastery of the mode by discovering all the experiences and rewards it has to offer. While DMZ begins in Al Mazrah, no one quite knows where it may lead. But like I said earlier, the extraction system isn't really in depth, and you only really get to choose your weapon that you bring into the game, so they need more rewards in the future. But they go over further rewards in this blog post. First of all, regarding the stash/inventory system, DMZ involves keeping a stash or inventory of weapons and other valuable items from the exclusion zone. Players will start with a small inventory of free contraband weapons. Contraband guns are only usable in DMZ, and if you lose them on the battlefield, they are gone forever. Weapons acquired from other players or enemies on the field are considered contraband after extracting with them. Call of Duty is about customizing customizing weapons, so we still want you to bring those creations into DMZ, whether it's a personal modification or a weapon blueprint. At first, you will have one insured weapon slot for any personal loadout weapon or weapon blueprint. Additional insured weapon slots can be earned by leveling up with factions. For those looking for an alternate path to unlocking weapons versus traditional weapon XP through matches, should be excited to plan their infills. Acquiring a contraband weapon will unlock the base weapon in Gunsmith, usable in multiplayer and Battle Royale. If you lose an insured weapon, remember insurance takes time, unless you are willing to pay the right price. Extracted cash and valuables speed up the cooldown on those slots. Your stash also contains certain items to take out of the exclusion zone, which can then be put into your loadout and backpack for the next infiltration and give you access to special locations. If your backpack fills up during a match, operators can visit one of 6 dead drop locations to stash items for extraction in a later match. Now regarding infill, loadouts and missions, DMZ is a trios based mode with the option to play solo or duo too by disabling squad fill, although you'll still be matched with other trios, and the map will be cluttered with AI. We recommend you start with trios as the Al Mazrah exclusion zone is a dangerous place. Of course, solos and duos will be much harder. To teach you how to play and give you those first rewards of DMZ, you accept faction missions. These are from our world's most powerful private military cooperation groups, the Legion, White Locust, and Black Moose, with the Legion being your starting faction and the other 2 unlocked by completing other factions missions. So yeah, these faction missions are going to be awesome. By completing a certain number of faction missions, you can advance up a faction's mission tiers. These missions offer significant challenges coupled with significant unique rewards. Players will infiltrate the exclusion zone with their chosen loadout, insured or contraband, or they can bring nothing at all sometimes. All it takes is a pair of fists and a dream. The exact point of infiltration is random every time, ensuring that no 2 DMZ matches will be the same. To get more items, players will have to extract them out of the exclusion zone with their backpacks. This will provide an experience for players to complete a supply run as an example, in which players can complete a run just to gear up for a future deployment. In addition to the backpack, players can exfil from the world with on-soldier items including backpacks, self-revives, armor plate carriers, etc. This is critical for players looking to engage with high-tier enemies early in a match, their next exfil. So this is a cool thing that you're able to bring from game to game, but they do need more things so that you're able to be more prepared in future games by playing it. Now regarding within the exclusion zone, other than completing the objectives laid out in faction missions, players are also free to explore the exclusion zone to collect more items for their inventory and take on optional assignments. These can be completing contracts such as rescuing a hostage, taking down a high value target, or taking part in a world event such as activating a SAM turret or a UAV tower. Like Warzone 2, players can expect logical looting. Items exist in Al Mazrah in places they may exist in real world, such as medical supplies in a bathroom cabinet or hospital, a police station or military outpost may contain more tactical gear. And I like how they placed all of these items like it's a real world environment. It just makes it feel so much more realistic. There are only a few limits to where you can explore in Al Mazrah. First, locked spaces, which are special areas within the exclusion zone and strongholds guarded by Alcatela forces. Players must obtain keys to gain access to these high value places, strongholds and black sites, which are clearly designated on your in-game TAC map to allow you to opt into engagements with these AI combatants, so you'll be able to clearly see where they are located. During each match, several strongholds will be activated around the map. Squads can visit these to fight AI combatants. The first team to complete a stronghold must disarm a bomb and will earn a key to a black site and their custom loadout. Black sites are simply a more dangerous form of strongholds, but they offer a permanent weapon blueprint reward and even more valuable in-match items for those who clear it out. Additionally, in-match cash can be used to purchase your primary weapon from created loadouts. Here's how the looting is going to work in Warzone 2. Of course, there's a new backpack system fully integrated in DMZ and streamlined for Battle Royale 2. Like previously in Warzone, supply boxes throw out items to pick up when a player interacts with any other loot container, such as a duffel bag, a medical case. You will have to apply that via a loot menu. When a player dies, they will drop their primary weapon on the ground and their backpack, which contains the rest of their content and is accessed through a loot menu. Also, Al Mazrah won't have a circle collapse, but players will need to monitor radiation as well as the occasional sandstorm. We don't know yet what is causing this deadly energy and what operators may get from finding its source. I'll explain how the radiation works later in this video even more in depth. Anyways, again, there is no definitive objective or path to victory in DMZ. You are responsible for mapping your own success in this mode with plenty of rewards for your efforts, double XP tokens, calling cards, weapon charms, and other cosmetics. And finally, the ultimate reward is the M13B assault rifle. This functional weapon is part of the Bruin Ops platform, along with the new BAS-P SMG. It can be yours to use across Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 modes. So previously, this was listed as you could either get this weapon as a bundle in the store or via an unlocked challenge. So maybe the unlocked challenge is just specific to DMZ and you won't be able to unlock this weapon by doing a challenge in multiplayer multiplayer or regular battle royale, and you will be forced to play DMZ to be able to unlock this mode, and I don't mind that. It will get some more players on. Now for exfilling, the main objective of DMZ. Winning is determined by the player's choices and the consequences that follow, but ultimately exfilling from the exclusion zone is your main objective in each match. Part of DMZ's design is to make every match matter. Anything that you get in DMZ that is in your loadout or backpack is lost upon death. Players can still be revived by their squad mates even after dying, although it will take longer than the usual down revive, but if everyone drops, all that precious loot gets dropped too. The only exceptions are insured weapons, which are part of your stash. Infinity Ward have let us know that this is just the beginning. They have built a massive living world in Al Mazrah with challenging enemies, a deep mission system, side quests, secrets and more, which I'm really excited about. There's going to be plenty of side quests and little Easter eggs you can do on the map, just like an Outbreak for Zombies fans. But personally, I'm always going to prefer Outbreak. Zombies are just a much more enjoyable AI to fight than just regular soldiers, which is kind of boring, in my opinion. I like fantasy and more sci-fi things. They say as we look to the future, we hope to reward players for exfiltration in new ways as we work towards new uses for cash and items. So I'm excited that they are saying they do have more plans for rewards in the future. So even if it is a bit limited at launch, since it is launching in beta, hopefully there is more to come. And I hope that they add a bunch of new side quests, Easter eggs and secrets to uncover throughout the map to make it feel more alive and interactive as the seasons progress. DMZ does not set out to replicate. Before I get into this really interesting Twitter thread explaining in depth everything you need to know regarding DMZ and all of its secrets, I first have an awesome sponsored message to share for you. This video has been kindly sponsored by Mr. Sun's Hatbox, which is planned to release in 2023, but in the meantime you can check out the free demo on Steam and add it to your Steam wishlist. It's a slapstick, stealth, roguelike platformer about getting the job done no matter the cost. Upgrade your headquarters, your team and your tools so you can take on increasingly dangerous and ridiculous missions in pursuit of not only the hat you've lost, but as many hats as you can handle. You wake up, it's an average Tuesday, you put on your favourite green cap, hop in your trusty delivery truck and begin the day. Your first delivery, bring a nondescript box to a hat shop. What could go wrong? Little did you know, everything. As you hand the package over to unremarkable local business owner Mr. Sun, a trio of troublemakers rush up, steal the box and make a run for it. You will not stand for it. You do not disappoint your customers. The deliveries can wait. You must recover Mr. Sun's Hatbox at all costs. From your humble beginnings as a one-man delivery band, you build up an organization of reformed hat thieves to send on both covert and chaotic missions. As you progress through each level, you'll create a closet full of stylish headgear, recruit a bumbling bunch of brainwashed bandits, and collect an assortment of weapons ranging from the practical to the ridiculous. Upgrade your base, your team, and your tools so you can take on the more dangerous heists. And with every successful return, you'll get one step closer to returning the package that started it all to its rightful home. You'll call your base home and headquarters as you pursue your noble quest of returning the stolen package to Mr. Sun. You'll begin with a small base, only the essentials, and build it out as the story progresses. Over time, you'll gain new rooms and research new abilities, allowing you to grow your team, upgrade your gear, and maybe even start a couple side hustles to pad your wallet. A few rooms to get you going with missions, and back on increasingly daunted missions for increasingly cool rewards. Storage, marvel at all the sweet hats you've collected, check in on your staff and see who's got some time to kill. Brig, brainwash newly kidnapped prisoners so they can join your staff. Every day you'll send a staff member on one of 3 platformer missions, each featuring different objectives, environments, threats and rewards. At the start of each mission, you'll select an employee to take on the task, equip them if you want, and prepare for the hurdles ahead. Sneak through for a quick and clean escape, or go in guns blazing. Either way, there'll be lots of loot to collect and new recruits to capture. This is a business after all. Once you've completed enough missions, you can take on a dangerous but fruitful hat heist, collecting crowns, progressing the story, and introducing new perks for you and your team. Once your showroom is glittering with jewels, you'll be ready for a whole new kind of challenge. So if this game sounds amazing to you and interesting, try out the demo and wishlist it on Steam via the link in the description. Now I want to go over this really important thread to explain how DMZ functions in depth by Warzone Ranked on Twitter. These are really important details that many miss, and I think better explain the mode and will have you more optimistic prior to jumping in. So there are 3 factions offering missions for increased difficulty tier, which are Legion, White Locust and Black Moose, which I expressed earlier. We can see that there are at least 5 tiers of missions for each faction, assuming 4 missions per tier times 5 tiers times 3 factions equals potentially up to 60 different missions on launch, with more to come post-launch and probably more factions too. Everyone will want to complete as many DMZ missions as possible as they earn you unique rewards. Exclusive operator skins and blueprints usable across all Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone, contraband weapons for DMZ, and XP tokens. Missions also unlock additional insured weapon slots. Insured slots allow you to deploy in the DMZ with your own weapon from the gunsmith, with modifications and camos you have unlocked from Modern Warfare 2 or Warzone. Unsuccessful exfills with your insured weapon put the insured slot slot on a 10-hour cooldown, which is a very long time, which is your incentive to exfil successfully. The cooldown can be reduced with successful exfils depending on the total amount of cash looted. A couple examples from the early footage that we saw: Repulse reduced his insured slot cooldown by 3 hours by looting 3,500, whereas Lucky reduced his by 5.5 hours by looting 30,000. While the insured slot is on a cooldown, you can deploy to the DMZ with contraband weapons only. These guns are held in your stash and are previously looted during successful exfils or earned by completing DMZ missions. They are removed from your stash or death forever. Contraband weapons are not customizable and may be inferior to your own loadout weapons due to the lack of modifications formerly known as attachments. It is very likely that the average player will run out of their insured slots and contraband weapons very quickly due to unsuccessful exfils and therefore will be forced to deploy with random weapons, probably pistols or fists or just random guns. This should ensure most players play a smart game and focus on the objective, ensuring a healthy stash of contraband guns or insured slot availability in their reserve. Some gatherable items will become mission items as missions progress in difficulty. You will need to exfil with those items to deliver them to your faction. This should create an ecosystem of players fighting for loot and exfil points. Some mission items will only be lootable inside of the locked buildings, which can be unlocked with keycards. Keycards have a limited amount of uses and can be dropped from your stash on death, making the decision to bring them to the DMZ a high risk and high reward game. In addition to faction missions and their rewards, there are also up to 7 unique rewards from weapon classes. Once you grab the case, it marks you for everyone on the map, making the extraction more difficult but potentially rewarding a sweet blueprint, such as this caution tape one. There are 3 exfil locations available since the start of the match, but these are the same to all players on the server. A player can exfil at any time, but nearby players will be alerted. The radiation starts to spread from its source once the first timer ends, around 30 minutes or so. Exfil locations disappear when the radiation reaches them, but a new and final exfil zone appears towards the very end of the match. This is interesting because it's not going to be like a closing circle in Warzone with the gas, and the radiation will just spread in zones on the map. Exfil zones as well as the radiation source change locations each game, however they have a predefined number of possible combinations. Each season Infinity Ward may replace or add more missions and rewards. This is key to DMZ's replayability and success. If Warzone was this successful without any rewards beyond sending a victory or stat screenshots to your friends, just think what DMZ can become with its missions, especially with all of the Easter eggs and secrets that you are going to be able to uncover on the map. Warzone Rank says, "I just wish squads had their own exfil points and the servers would not disband, but instead let nuke squads drop in as squads die or exfil the server, keeping the number of players on the server a constant threat." So that is everything you need to know regarding DMZ prior to jumping into the game. Hopefully this is a good overall explanation. Let me know if you have any further questions regarding the mode in the comment section down below. I think it's going to be something that people aren't going to gel with well at first, but they'll start to like more as they play it more and understand it better, especially as the mode is updated more and more with more things to flesh it out as the seasons and updates progress. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching and bye.